Pranam Guruji, Pranam Guruma, Pranam to KMG family. Om Shanti, Om Namah Shivaya. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. मुझे तुमने दाता बहुत कुछ दिया है, मुझे तुमने दाता बहुत कुछ दिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, मुझे तुमने दाता बहुत कुछ दिया है.
Om Shanti, a very good morning to you, Venkat and Preeti. Thank you so much for spending your time. It's so nice to be able to see both of you together on this platform. We've been meaning to have this meeting for a while. So very much thanks to Guruji and gratitude to you as well for making all this happen. Now, you had a very long association with Guruji, more than 15 years back. So really looking forward to hear a lot of interesting lessons learned, take away from all that experience. Let's maybe get started. We'll start with a quick introduction, and if you could also talk a bit about how your first meeting with Guruji happened, and since then how has been the journey, we can take it from there. So over to you, Venkat and Preeti. Thank you once again.
Om Shanti, Om Namaste. Pranam Guruji, Pranam Guruma. Thank you so much, Advait, for this KMG Connect interview. We would like to take this platform and use it as an opportunity to express gratitude to all our gurus, teachers, and all who taught us life lessons, including our parents and both our parents, and especially for me, my elder siblings have been more than my parents for me because my father died very young, and my elder brother was more than a father to me because he did both my sister's marriage, his marriage, my marriage, everything, and he actually decided to get married only after I got a job. So he's more than a father to me. So I would like to take this as an opportunity to express gratitude to every such person who has offered us such life lessons. And before we met Guruji, I would like to give a background about our spiritual initiation. Almost 4-5 years after our marriage, we were initiated into spirituality through Dr. Chandrasekhar Prabhu. He's been our spiritual foundation. In fact, he's inducted us into spirituality. He taught us Omkar Sadhana, he taught us Brahma Vidya, he taught us Tibetan breaths, and past life regression, whole lot of spiritual modalities we were exposed to. So from then on, actually, we had a lot of the thirst for spirituality, the quest for spirituality was always risen for both of us. So that was the background on which we, after about a decade with Dr. Prabhu, we met Guruji. So Guruji we met around 2007 in the month of May. It was a very challenging time for us. We were going through a relationship issue, very serious, quite almost we were almost separating, and it was we shifted to our new house, and we had our neighbor Vidya Kamath, Krishna Kamath and Vidya Kamath. Their daughter Vinita was with non-Hodgkin's cancer. So she had taken treatment from Guruji. She's just a 16-year-old divine kid, with all the oxygen and the pain. She used to keep smiling always, and she's taught a lot of things to us in the span of 15 days. In 15 days only, we were exposed to her as neighbors. And I'm sure Preeti will be able to share a lot because she was very fond of Preeti, and in fact, just before our passing away also, Preeti was with her. So Preeti can connect that, and then we'll come to how we met Guruji also.
Okay. lot of gratitude for Guruji for being there in our life. I think when we shifted to the new house, and we happened to interact with our neighbors, and we got to know that they are following Guruji, and she was saying, Vidya Kamath was saying that he's got a book. Guruji has got a book, and normally we don't give the book to anybody. So I said, okay, but I didn't insist, but at least I told her, can I get to see it when I'm here in your house? So she briefly showed me the book, and that book was, lot of content which vibrated with my kind of liking. So then I gave it back, and I used to interact. The kid was, I don't know what she found in us, that she would call me every day to, sit and talk to her. And some of the things which I observed from the kid, like, she would say, Auntie, I want to have McDonald's burger today. So, I'm going to close my eyes. Can you be with me? And I'll say, okay, fine. She would close her eyes for some time, and she would eat that McDonald's burger. And then after, she would open her eyes and she'd say, I'm fulfilled about it. So, these things and all was really the curiosity, increased more, oh, what is it that Guruji taught that kid is doing all these things. And the kid was so much receptive for many things. Anything which we would say, she would immediately pick it up. So that's the experience we had with them. And one fine day, one afternoon, I don't know what happened, and Vidya said, okay, you take this book, you read it and give it back to us. I said, okay, and I took the book and I brought it home. And normally in silence, I do a lot of introspection. So I was silent, and plus this issue of us, we were going through this issue. So I was like, suddenly, when I had that book beside me, a kind of calmness, some blissful feeling was there. It's very, I can't explain that. Then I said, then I looked at the book. The book had a Buddha kind of a picture.
It's the first edition of Guruji's 125 page, no photograph of Guruji,
Yeah.
in that.
So then, since I learned Reiki, they are taught to scan the book. So I scanned the book, and kind of, it was like, a lot of healing. I could feel something was coming, some healing is happening in there from that book. It's making me calm. It's very funny, but this is a feeling I was left with. Then immediately, then after some time, I think I went and spoke to Vidya Kamath. So she said, yes, this book has got a lot of healing. I did not know this before. Then I started reading the entire book, that one go kind of thing. I think maximum would have taken about 2 sittings. I completed the book because it was like so much, inviting that, I didn't want to drop the book down. So many information was in that book. How Guruji treated, how he met his guru, and what kind of hardships he had to go through in terms of his health and all that. So then, after reading that book, then I went and asked Vidya, okay, I would like to meet her. She said, yeah, we will go sometime. But it so happened her daughter was critically ill, and she was not going out anywhere. So at that point, the focus was more on, catering to what Vinita's needs were. So it happened, and then after, I think, just about 15 days time, Vinita transitioned at the month of May. So then after that, when they gone through those morning period and all that, one fine day she came herself and she said, I'm planning to go to meet Guruji. Wow, well, I'm also coming. That's how I went to meet Guruji. And I had no clue how Guruji would look. So she said, you don't have to call him. For us, it's Guruji. You can call him uncle. I said, okay, fine. Then we went, and I was sitting in the Guruji's house, and I saw some vibrant person, walking very vibrant, very energetic, coming, and he just pulled my hand. He saw she never introduced to Guruji, saying that she's my neighbor. I brought nothing, the commitment, like my God. Came walking fast, and I did no time pulled my hand, and so Guruji normally does. Oh, your stomach is not good and all that stuff. Chalo, chalo, I'll give you healing. So then we went inside and he gave me healing. So I did not go for healing or anything. I just wanted to meet him. Then Guruji gave healing and Vidya also spoke to him and she also took healing and all that. Then it was lunchtime, so Guruji was in his dining table and was eating, and we were standing opposite him. Suddenly, Guruji said, I've never met a pure lady like you." I was like, I said, what, Guruji? Here we are having this relationship issue, and people around us are saying so a lot of inadequacy in me, and you're saying I'm pure lady, I couldn't. Was he? I was first thing came to my mind. Is he trying to just pep me up? Because normally healers and all they know that somebody is emotionally down and all that. But then I just didn't give too much credence to that word what Guruji said at that point because my level of what do you understanding was very limited. So then we left Guruji and then again second I think he had called again also for the second healing and again we went to second healing and then this time he healed me and all that. This time Vidya had taken her nephew and her son. So 4 people had gone to visit. Then Guruji gave me healing and all that and then he said but that point of time I wanted to have a baby also. I was very, very, focused in having a baby. Then I wanted to check with him if I can have a baby and all that. So Guruji this time, he said, he came up with saying like, I'll give you my powers and on one condition, you should not ask for a baby. You think and tell me. He said that he was just looking at me. So I thought I said powers, what mentally I was thinking powers say kya ho sakta hai, like that. Then I didn't take much time. I said, no, Guruji, what is the use of powers? When my deep desire is to have a baby. So I don't want powers, I want babies. Then he said, he laughed off and then he said, then again then that he left me with kind of, again that introspecting. Why did he say give powers? What is it in me that then for me, what came to mind, maybe he's testing me, he was testing me to see what is it I'm asking for. Again, it's all my limited understanding. So then we left Guruji, and this time, when I came back, during that time, so I asked him, so okay, you can do self healing. He said, I said, okay, Guruji, self healing. So tell me when do you have these classes for healing? When can I come and learn this? Then as he is healing, no, yehi healing hai. You after this you can heal. I said, you keep your hand like this, and tell yourself, I'm getting better and better. This is healing. So my mind, I was telling, no, this is not healing. So I was telling, this is not healing. I was not telling him, but no, this is not healing. What about I asked him, what about initiation? He was not answering me. What about the initiation? You will initiate, no, calling angels and all that. See, this my background is in Reiki. You did 2 full day class, okay, and scanning book and various modalities they teach you in that 2 days. Here somebody is saying no class and this thing, and I'm telling no, this is not healing. I'm going on telling that you have to teach me when is the class. I'm asking him, and he's not replying in that line. He's so busy with other things, and while he was healing me, he was talking also, and then he was not answering. I said, why is he not answering me? Then he said, no, this is how you should do healing, like this, and you tell yourself, I'm getting better and better. Then I was saying, ये क्या better and better बोलने से हो जाता है? Because that time I had no clue about affirmations. Then I said, okay, fine, and then I said, then my mind did let me integrate spiritual healing with the Reiki. My mind, that thought process went there. So then I would ask with him, what is it like? Spiritual healing में क्या है? What is it I need to focus on? So this was not answered to me. But looking back, after taking so many patients to Guruji, I realized this when he heals the first time, he gives you 60% energy. When you heal the second time, when he heals at 10%, and in your third healing, he gives you 5%. Actually, he takes you to the birth stage. He works on your chakras. Lot of things he does in that. Besides the ailment currently which we are going through, other than that, he is also addressing this aspect of our what do you call
Initiating the healing.
initiating us to this modality.
Taking us to the birth stage.
Yeah. So then now retrospectively we realize that actually we are doing only 25% healing. We are not doing 100%. The commitment when we heal, we are doing the 25% aspect of our body, our mind, and soul. It's not the 75%. I mean, it took us a lot of time because at that point Guruji would not say anything like the how these days how the after bringing the structure of WhatsApp group and retreat. Before that, it is always left to us to understand. And it started, but I would say I never did spiritually, but I would invoke Guruji and do my Reiki healing. Then that's how we started off with Guruji, and then taking juices also was not immediate. It took us some time. Meantime, when I went back home and I saw Guru once, when he was sleeping, I saw his hand on facing up. So then I quietly, because we were not in talking terms at that point. And I just peeped into his hand, and suddenly I was like keeping the book and his palm, my face very near to. Suddenly he got scared. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "No. See, look at this. There's a book. I met this uncle, and I think your lines and the book lines are contradictory, and I think you need his attention. You need to come and meet him." And that's how he.
That was my first meeting. In fact, I didn't have a lifeline at all. It was hardly a short lifeline. So I met Guruji along with Preeti. She took me there. So the first thing Guruji told was, he told Preeti that my dear, you are very intelligent. Looking at the book, you brought your husband. Otherwise, he was in critical condition. In fact, he was telling me, I would have been paralyzed. I would have collapsed. I would have been one side paralyzed. And he said, you have come in the opportune time, right time. You need healing. In fact, that time also Preeti's mind, the baby was on the spotlight. So he said, forget baby now, he needs healing. And he gave the healing to me. And he said, my liver is congenitally faulty, right from birth. And I was very weak. In fact, that trauma was quite heavy for us because I think for me, I was in the very low frequency because of the guilt and the shame. And probably one step about it. That's all I could say. So Guruji could really get that. I was very weak energetically, mentally, physically, emotionally. So Guruji got my vibes very well. So he healed me, and I don't recollect anything other than what Guruji told me this. Once he put me for healing. Now I don't even remember. Now I know he puts stomach up. He says people. I went and slept, and I got the healing. And after that, I knew that I got pepped up and energy came in, but I didn't know what all was spoken in between. I remember only few things like he was telling her that I'm still not completely done away with the relationship. I'm still holding on. So it will take some time for him to come out of it. He was telling that. That's the only thing I heard. Rest all I didn't hear. And what he told before he started the healing, because I think maybe I slept fast. Then he said, I need more healing. So he obviously called for the next healing. So the first healing went by, and he of course prescribed all the juices, the usual one, the yellow. It was a yellow form that time. He prescribed that, and we went back home. And the next healing when I came, that is something which is very interesting, which happened with me. We came, like Preeti was saying, we were just starting off with juices. We were not regular. So as soon as I entered, he gave the customary hug to Preeti, and he said, "Welcome." And he looked at me and he said, "You are not drinking juices. You're not even reading my book. You get out." He actually told me get out. He says, "Have juices and then come back." So actually made me go back, have the juices. That's how my first jatka happened with Guruji there only. That I had to be little bit at least in line with Guruji's protocol. So those days the protocol is not so elaborate. I think little bit Jalniti and anar juice and carrot juice being your first line of defense. So I did follow the carrot juice and came for the next evening. He gave me the healing. That's how our initial our journey started off with Guruji. But something which hit me about Guruji was I could see a father figure in him. So I tell today that he's like father, mother, guru, beyond God, because over the years we have seen that. So that point of time, I could really feel that somebody was coming and hugging you and saying that give all your problems to me. Who would do that?
Yeah, that was
It's-
very too much to handle. When you say give all your problems, and I mentally I would say no, I will not give my problems. That's not fair to give my problems. So much like it took a lot of time for us to understand. Guruji is somebody very big and very elevated, and he can just dissolve your all your problems. Only thing is you just need to believe and surrender in him. So I would say, no, I will not give my problems. It's not fair, kind of a thing. Then of course, like, slowly we started understanding him, and things opened up, and I think we completely the surrender happened over a period of time.
Yeah, it took a lot of time because I think it all happened. I'll tell you later when Guruji came in 2010 to Pune. There only lot of deep entrenchment of the protocol happened actually. So in 2008, around April, we were in Guruji's house. Then I'm just continuing. So when a call came from my elder sister about my mom was quite serious that time. So we were in Guruji's house and actually the Guruji asked me what happened. So I said, my sister saying the mom is seeing all the dead people's calling her like my father's elder brother. So I told this to Guruji. Guruji said, okay, unka time aa gaya, ab jaiye. So you go. So he told us to go back. We went to Trichy. Both of us went there and we spent time with my mom. She was in bed, but my sister's a doctor, so she was at home only. So Guruji, I called up and told this is the situation. She's very weak, frail, all that. So he told to make the transition peaceful. He suggested something to me. He said only a blood relation, a son or somebody can do. So he suggested something to me and he told, do this to your mom. Her journey will be very peaceful. So I did that once, but she didn't allow me. The second time when she was fast asleep, I tried again. That time she pushed my hand off. So I called up Guruji and told Guruji, she's not allowing me to do it. I'm trying to keep hand, but she's pushing it off. So Guruji ne bola ki uska time aur hai, few months she'll be there, 2-3 months. So now she's fine, just leave it. So we came back. April 20th or something, we came back. I still remember April 19, 2008 was I think a Purnami or something, Purnima. People are worried 19th ko kuch hoga, kuch nahi hua. We also came back after that. Then June 14th, 2 months later, exactly like June 14th, my mom passed away. So we again told Guruji and came to Trichy. We did all the ceremonies. I called up Guruji and I told this is what we done this. So Guruji ne bola, she's very happy. She's in right. Don't worry, she's very happy. So we're very contented. So that time started understanding Guruji's lot of small things. Then in 2008 October, that was something major illness for Prithi was falciparum malaria. She had a falciparum malaria, which is like a brain malaria, where your blood chemistry changes and it hits your brain chemistry also. So actually, entire thing your liver goes for a toss, your kidney goes for a toss, your filtration goes, then your heart, she gets breathlessness. So doctors will keep wondering, and then every day they used to take blood tests. Almost alternate days blood test used to be the blood count and the liver function test, everything. So she can narrate the entire thing, but it was quite a harrowing time, almost 15 days of hospital admission. Of course, we were with Guruji, but that time Guruji ko call karna utna, I did call him, but we were with our family doctor, same Dr. Chandrasekhar Babu, who also was our family doctor. So actually, falciparum malaria, if it is more than 4-5% RBC infestation, mostly they say it's very difficult to survive. She had a 8% RBC infestation. So the doctors in Navi Mumbai said, we can't take her to Hinduja. Take her to any Bombay hospital like Jasloka, Hinduja, not here. So, but my family doctor stood by us and he told I will take responsibility. So he took responsibility. Dr. Prabhu took responsibility. We were admitted in Navi Mumbai hospital only. Then post that, she took treatment. It was a lot of ups and downs, and she can tell what exactly happened.
Like Dr. Prabhu, in fact, Dr. Prabhu was a request when I got admitted into that. There was constant monitoring happened, not only from the doctor, Dr. Parekh, who was treating me, even Dr. Prabhu would take, personal attention to know what is my blood parameter, everything. So I want to express my gratitude while narrating this because there's a whole lot of prayers went for me from Dr. Prabhu's group and of course Guruji, everybody, so at friends, because at that point we had a lot of support system from our friends who came and stood by us, waited for us in the morning and hanged around in the evening. So a lot of gratitude to all of them, who were there for us. And during that admission time, when I remember one of the, I think second or the third day, I remember I was in deep because I had due to heavy medications. I had heavy medications, and I think I was kind of hallucinating also at that point. But also in one of the deep sleep, this was early morning. I remember Guruji coming and taking something from my stomach,
Both like
that that when he took like this, and I'm lying down and I'm seeing Guruji, what he was having is something like that root, lots of roots. The only roots I could see that he takes it out of my stomach, and I do not know what is the significance of that, but also I don't think we speak to Guruji about it also, but something was some kind of a strength clarity was coming up. Something was happening inside me which I could be bit not so clear, but I could remember something changed in me because that afternoon I was brought medicines. Suddenly the sister came and said you have tuberculosis of lungs and it's been positive. My MAN2 test was positive and then
TBIG.
TBIG.
Two tests they took.
Both the tests were positive, and doctors suggested to take this tablets, tuberculosis tablets. So I was like, first, a little bit I was upset about it because if you see prior meeting to Guruji, I've already had underwent a surgery, which is tuberculosis of stomach, intestine, and where they had removed about 9 inches of my intestine, and it was the tuberculosis course was for 9 months, and subsequently when wanted to have a baby, the gynaec said, because of your tuberculosis treatment, you have a fallopian tube block. Normally, when you take such heavy drugs, and one of the adjacent organs get blocked or leaves with some kind of side effects. Then that afternoon when we got the test, then when she came and said you have tuberculosis, then I tried to again, as usual. I always when crisis comes, I just keep quiet and I just keep observing what's the life. So I was looking at outside the window and I was just calmly looking at, just wondering what is it again, tuberculosis, how come? Then something in me told me, no, I don't have tuberculosis. Then I called up my family doctor, Dr. Prabhu. I said, doctor, please, I don't think I have tuberculosis. And Dr. Prabhu is one person who knows about me because spiritually also, a lot of miracles which we went through, and it used to be very unusual miracles, and so he knows me as he knows my background. So when I said that I don't have tuberculosis, he said, okay, just relax. I'll come in the afternoon after my practice. So then he came in the afternoon and he brought the doctor who was treating me, Dr. Parekh. He said, the doctor got very wild with me. He said, you are doubting my diagnosis. So I said, no, not at all, doctor. I'm not at all doubting anybody. But my inner feeling says I don't have tuberculosis. In that case, we will take one more sample. So this time they took 4.
There is a test called ABG. It is arterial blood gaseous test. It's the test about how the lung puts in oxygen, how it takes out of carbon dioxide. Function, I mean, the effectiveness of lung in short. That little bit I understood. So that test can only be taken by the blood can be taken from artery only by a doctor or a specialist. No technician or a nurse can take. And the result comes after a week. So the ABG test was given and we took a discharge. And in fact, the Dr. Parekh wrote the patient is getting discharged without taking treatment for COX, without taking treatment for tuberculosis, against advice of the medical practitioners.
So then we immediately, the very next day, we had given again our blood samples for test, and we went to Guruji, and I was
First thing we did was we went to Guruji.
We went.
Now, I would like to add here, Advait, that throughout this admission time, no, it was quite a disturbing time, and I used to speak to my sister regularly. She's a doctor. Then my close friends. I used to literally cry because doctors were grappling with a lot of things. Finally, they fine-tuned to tuberculosis of the chest, like pulmonary tuberculosis. So then I used to talk to Guruji almost quite often, and I used to get a standard reply from Guruji. That was a big relief for me. He used to say, I can say she's perfectly all right, don't worry. She'll be all right, don't worry. ये सब doctors को करने दो. So, but I used to wonder, everybody here is wondering, my sister used to feel worried because she's a doctor. But Guruji used to always say, I can see her, she's perfectly all right. So that was one big comfort for me throughout. So the first thing we got discharged, I took her to Guruji. Then
I was very weak, one, and two is our car AC out of the blue, and the 3 is we went to Guruji's house and the lift was not working, and
very rarely the Guruji's lift was not
working. So I could see that so much of challenges, it's written like I had to face it, like, and then
we were late.
We were late also
Guruji
on top of it.
Always.
And Guruji never likes anybody being late. So somehow, I managed to climb the staircase and move. I saw Guruji reading paper. He was actually wanting to shout at us, but the moment he saw me, he said, "Come, come." So immediately he took me for healing. He healed me, and then we went back home. Then the next day morning, we got a call from our family doctor. Please admit Preeti immediately. Her hemoglobin is 4, and so, don't take much time. Immediate admission, because she will have to go for blood transfusion.
So over the period of this falciparum malaria, blood hemoglobin had come down from about 7 to 6 to 5. So every day we were taking tests. So when the day before we got discharged, also we took the test, went to Guruji and and then the results came one day after Guruji's healing. Because they said it's 4 and you have to, maybe it's internal bleeding, you have to do blood transfusion. So they actually told her to come and get admitted in ICU. So in fact, when she went to the hospital, they were coming with the stretcher. She kept walking and coming. She said, no, I don't want stretcher or anything.
No, but just prior to that admission, what Dr. Prabhu said is to have duck eggs. So I took 2 duck eggs and went and got ourselves admitted. So when I walked into the ICU, and I had a book to read also, and people would wonder, like, the doctors, kept coming inside, and they would look at me, and they used to ask questions like, "Are you feeling giddy? Are you okay? Can you walk properly?" I said, "Yeah." They wanted me to take through a wheelchair. I said, "No, I don't need a wheelchair. I can walk." So I walked into the ICU, and I was witnessing all other patients, what all ailment they were going through. I was sitting and observing all that, and the doctor is saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I'm sure. I'm fine. Like, I'm not having any giddy feeling and all that." It so happened that this time it was a different hospital, and after my admission, then they kept me under observation. All my tests used to be done twice. One, the pathologist would do, and the head of pathology is a doctor. he would also give personally will look into my blood parameters because it was not matching. And I
So
remember
the patient and the blood report were not matching.
at all, So with and Vidya was there that time.
Vidya Kamath.
Vidya Kamath was there that time, and she said, Guruji healing, yeah, na, so don't worry. She'll always console Venkat, not to worry. You went for healing now. We realized that just with that one this thing, what is healing, our blood parameter actually changed, but it reflected much later. The parameter, the blood report was reflected much later. I think we don't know the duration, but it came to about 8, 9 after some time. But till that time, after that healing and that process was immediate. Like I was not like feeling sick or in any way feeling that I had a low count of blood. So in fact, we had a lot of fun, fun during that time when we got admitted. All our friends would come. They said that I had to, be happy. Guruji always says one thing, right? We always be happy. So all friends used to come and give jokes and all that to make me to pep me up and all that. So that admission, though it is an admission for a low blood count and it's a lot of concern, but it's also a memorable. It turned out to be a very memorable admission for me.
In fact, I used to, when she was admitted for transfusion, I called up Guruji. And Guruji, I said, doctors are asking for a transfusion. So Guruji said, no need, she'll be all right. Then after some time, they said, transfusion karna hai, iska blood group kya hai? Fortunately, unfortunately, our blood group is one of the rare ones. So they had some time. So once again, I called up Guruji. So in fact, we were discussing with my sister, other doctors, everybody. Most of them said, as much as possible, avoid blood transfusion. When I called up Guruji second time, he told, तुमको देना है तो एक bottle दे दो, कुछ नहीं होगा. So I went by the first one. He said, no need to give. So we decided not to give. Because, we had our close friend's wife who was, after transfusion, she got hepatitis B. And he was there with us, supporting his elderly person. He was telling, avoid blood transfusion. I lost my wife because of. So we had a lot of background how to avoid. So fortunately, we avoided, we came out. And I still remember Guruji, once he gave that healing, and he told one very different kind of an instruction for me. He asked her, what are you doing that you become so weak? So what are you doing for he wanted to know, what are you doing day to day? So she was that time a relationship coach. She used to coach about 8 coaches. So she said, I'm coaching over the phone. I talk to people. I pep them up. So he listened to it. And when we were going out, Guruji told, 15 दिन के लिए उसका phone निकाल दो. Take her phone off. For 15 days, I was handling her phone. I didn't give her phone. Even her parents, I didn't know. I used to take the call. And that, I think, was something very different which Guruji told. Don't give the phone to her. So for 15 days, when she was getting recovered from falciparum malaria, the phone was not with her. So that, I think, falciparum malaria was very challenging then. Post that, I think, straight away, I had one, after my initial healing, I had blood pressure, suddenly blood pressure came in. So the doctors, as usual, they said blood pressure means lifelong medicine. So I called up Guruji. Guruji said it's a urinary problem. So blood pressure tablets were given. I used to consume very erratically. Then one evening, at around 6 o'clock, I felt very weak. I had headache and full body was paining. I felt something seriously wrong. So I decided to call Guruji. And I called up Guruji around 6 o'clock. He said, come over. So from Bandra, I took a rig and went to Guruji's house. Guruji never gives healing in the evenings. We all know he gives healing morning 9 to 1 and then 1 to 4 he sleeps. 6:45 that day, he looked at me and he said, what have you done? You may collapse anytime. So he looked at me and he gave me healing. 6:45 in the evening, he gave me healing. So I think again, that was another resurrection for me because I felt very, very weak that time. So I took the healing and I came back. And that is one of those moments when I realized that, and he told me, I told doctors are saying blood pressure. He said it's a urinary issue for you, and he suggested coconut water. So my expedition with coconut water began then. I used to take coconut water so regularly, and I have taken even 9 coconut water in a single day. In fact, I feel proud to say Guruji was so happy with me. He has suggested 2-3 KMGNs to talk about coconut water to me. How Venkat takes coconut water. So I remember that. I used to take coconut water before meal. Then people used to say coconut water you should not take when you have any kind of cold or cough or in the nights. But I used to take in the night also when if there is minor cold cough also. I used to take the colds and I used to have a lot of headache. The blood pressure के पहले भी headache था मुझे. And my sister being a doctor, she used to ask me to make a log of headaches. So I used to make a log where I used to feel that if there is severe sun, I used to get a headache. If there is empty stomach, if there is full stomach, headache. Then if I cut my hair, I get a headache. If there is more hair, I get a headache. If there is rain, I get a headache. So I get a headache across all, indigestion everywhere. So I made the log of it. And I used to, when I got the blood pressure, I thought maybe blood pressure with the early age. But Guruji said it's urinary, and I started taking coconut water. Today, if I look back, my headache, it does come once in a while, but now I know I have a tool to handle, but I don't get as frequently as that. And I don't maintain any log. So I can realize what has happened through the small prescription of coconut water and Guruji CV. So the coconut water played a very strong role. In fact, I used to have frequent urination. So all that was also stopped. Post that 2010, we shifted to Pune. We took Guruji's consent and shifted to Pune. I actually shifted to Pune. I was someone who was never shifting to Pune. I always wanted to stay in Bombay. We lived 19 years there. So, but he told, for good you shift, we shifted. And 2010, Guruji came to Pune, to our house, around end of 2010. He's come almost 4 times. Every time Guruji comes to us, I think that interaction was the biggest learning for us, because that's where the entrenchment of protocol actually began, because so many patients came to our house to get healed. And Guruji used to give us small instructions like whoever patient comes, coconut water juices stock karke rakho. Whoever comes after healing, they have to take juices. So small things we used to see how perfect he used to be in everything. And I think Prithi can tell a lot, because he used to make Prithi teach everybody Janiti and self-healing.
Like Guruji is like, he would come and inspect everything. Like juices are there, coconut water are there. And then he would also ensure that, after every healing, healing the patients, he would say, inko coconut water de do, inko juices de do. And not only just healing, you would also take care of this aspect. Then last, while winding up, you will check also, like, so much of care you used to take with each and every patient. And for us, for both of us, the learning was, I think, immense. Lot of gratitude. Oh my God, I'm really overwhelmed telling this. So much of learning we went through. It was like a major shift. I remember once Guruji, when we given while giving breakfast, from the spoon ka stand se fork nikli, I got the fork and I gave him fork. Then I said, sorry, Guruji, let me give you the spoon. He said, no, nature wants me to eat in fork. So what is available, you would say that what is available, you should, you take it. And that's how he ate. I remember he eating upma, I think, in fork. I mean, like, we all complain, like, normally when something is missed, we'd say, no, yes, aisa hi hona chahiye, waisa hi hona chahiye. So these learnings, when we incorporated into our life, there was a very big change happened. Like patients of different.
Lot of them. In fact, Dr. Jayashree Palande had come along with her entire family, and every patient Guruji used to. In fact, some of the patients Guruji used to see her hand and let me know what is that. He used to.
He used to while healing, he will tell. You tell what is the problem. Immediately he'll post questions, Oh God, Guruji, you have no choice but to upgrade yourself. In presence, if you want to be in presence of Guruji, only you should think of growth. You know, you can nothing but growth. Like, you know, equipping yourself with a good so much palmistry and self-healing techniques and all that.